Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today to talk about and bring up the 10 most important teams right now in Marvel Strike Force. In my honest opinion, if you build these teams right now, they're going to pretty much set the tone for your account, especially those of you that are newer into the game. Try to get insight on which teams are the most valuable. Those of you that are in mid-game, transitioning to end-game, knowing which teams are actually still in the meta. I'm going to be trying to do these every couple of months or every month, so that way we're going to have up-to-date information, as well as point out what's going to be coming up for these teams, as well why they're going to be on this list, because half of them are basically required in order to fully compete in the end-game content. That's really the only way you can complete it. So obviously we're going to be talking about raids, some value in arena, dark dimension, and as well as if there's other areas of the game that they can bring you value. Now, if you guys are going to build these 10 teams and focus on them, they're going to be bringing you a lot of content in the game just because they're well-rounded. I've tried my best as well to actually purposely exclude Apocalypse and as well any of the Horsemen teams, because maybe in the future they revise this, but I definitely wouldn't recommend them as a top 10 team in the game, but they definitely would have value, because at the end of the day, you know, those 4 legendary Horsemen teams plus the 3 strike characters are obviously going to unlock Apocalypse, and that's going to be very, very meaningful in your account. But I want to talk about the 10 quality teams, because these are standalone and they don't need to be, you know, involved in bringing up Apocalypse here. So nothing fancy here, guys. I've saved the teams. I'm going to go top down and just discuss why they're on this list. And as well, what's nice is that I'm an endgame player right now, completing the majority of the endgame content. So you can actually see visually how high I've built some of these characters, some of these teams, and that way you can get a sense that this is a good threshold to stop leveling, unless you guys want to elevate these characters even more. Obviously, fans have favorites and so forth. I'm all about that too. So we are actually going to be starting off with raid teams, because this is the obvious one. If you guys want to be partaking in the end game content, especially right now, the highest level of raids is Incursion 2.3, and we're going to be going through all the raid teams, and you can see actually what my upgrades are, and I do want to point out some of these standouts, right? So for example, we're going to start off here, Incursion 2.3 raids. This is the Mystic team that's getting it done for me right now. As you can see, guys, the only character you really need to bring up to the moon is Val. With her being a strike character, original, you actually don't need the rest of the team that much higher. All the rest of the remaining Bifrost members are gear tier 14 and as well level 75, so they can get the job done. I'm clearing Mystic every single day. Some folks have commented that it's RNG and so forth. I've rarely missed my attempts, right? I would say when I'm going through it, 9 times out of 10, I can complete all 3 nodes. So just something to be mindful of. You have to understand the strategy, but I do have my videos linked below if you guys are interested in that strategy. So if you guys want to see that footage, I'm going to have that available and ready. Next up, we do have Pegasus here, being the tech section, and really the most important character in this team is obviously Kestrel. She's a mythic character. She has value already in Dark Dimension. The rest of the team can stop at gear tier 16 or 17, depending on how you're doing. Pegasus is a really good team, and they're all-rounder. Unlike Bifrost, which is likely going to be the next team that gets replaced in the raids, the Pegasus tech team is still actually pretty good in all game modes. They're obviously going to have some mileage wearing out in the coming year, but I still think they're going to hold a bit of more value just because they are typically newer than Bifrost, and as well we had recently Mutant, Bio, and as well Skill getting replaced, so they're a little bit down later. We still have some time, but Kestrel being in the middle of this makes this team last a little bit longer, especially with these original strike characters. Rescue's the second most important, and as you can see, the only one gear tier 18 is Kestrel, so you can use this full team to actually get through all 3 nodes in Incursion 2.3. We have the Extreme XMen team here in the Mutant. Do I foresee this changing in the future? Possibly, just because of the fact that some of these characters you may not need, right? I think the first one's going to be out is likely going to be Cyclops. At the moment, we see some better Age of X characters getting slotted in. Heck, even the new Mercs for Money team, with many of them being mutants, perhaps we can slot in Cyclops from one of them, like Old Man Logan, and we can see that synergy. But you definitely do need both Gambit and Nightcrawler maxed out as high as you can to make these nodes easier. The resistances that we're up against are pretty phenomenal. I think Forge is a very, very important piece, hence I brought him into gear tier 18 as well, just because I had the resources. But otherwise, I would say Sunspot and Cyclops are likely going to be replaced in the future if there's a better synergy of other mutant characters. Regardless though, this is a team that gets a job done for me, all 3 nodes, but most important characters easily being Gambit and Nightcrawler, and then third being Forge, because you need that revive and you need the supportive buffs that he does provide. One of my most favorite sections now is Hivemind being in the bio section. So you can see this is the team right here. I did actually end up gear tier 18 at the majority of these characters because actually we used a couple of them in Escape from Kiln. But the most important character is honestly Void Knight, synergizing with both Gwenom and as well as Red Goblin. They all kind of bring in their own kind of synergy. You don't need these characters all gear tier 18, guys. So I do want to point out I was getting by actually with gear tier 17 and Super Scroll. But if you don't have Super Scroll, gear tier 17 should still be fine across the board. I don't actually use Venom anymore. If you guys have Super Scroll, you can actually skip building Venom and slot Super Scroll into this team. But again, if you don't, and the full Hivemind team does make sense, and they're amazing because they have a lot of value in all across the different game modes. Heck, even Dark Dimension, if you can spare the resources, right? Pretty pivotal. But yeah, I would say Void Knight has some great mileage in the arena, especially Gwenom and Red Goblin can actually have value in Dark Dimension. Venom and Carnage could bring some Dark Dimension value, but they are more pricey, so just something to be mindful of. You guys are building up these characters, but this is a really fun team to play, and they have war value, crucible value. So they're definitely good to build up. Now, we have the newest raid team in the game. This is Spire Society. As you can see, I'm slowly working on them, but they're making this must-build 10 list because in the new raids that are coming, actually featuring Alpha Flight and Spire Society, you're going to need this team built up. They're not on my immediate focus right now because we don't have those new raids yet, and also with the skill section being at the very end of the Incursion 2 raids, you don't typically need these characters built up. If you're partaking right now in Incursion 1, you might actually need to build up the Spire Society sooner rather than later. For myself, because we're in the deep stages of the Incursion 2, we don't necessarily need them just yet, but I'm gearing them up. More on that later of why I haven't built these characters though. And then next up, we finally have, we're stepping outside the raid teams because these are some of the more kind of plug and play teams that you can bring, and as well just having value in all game modes, which is pretty pivotal. I like to bring up the Tango Web team because it still has Spider-Man Noir here, and Noir touches both the Spire Society team getting reworked and revised being a dual trait, in addition to Spider Weaver and 2099, right? This is a really good three-piece in Crucible. They actually are really good in War as well when you synergize them, so I think they're one of the best kind of three-piece in the game. You definitely will be getting value from them, especially with Weaver being an original character. Once again, these characters get reworked time to time, and they're not going to be leaving the game any soon. If you have them built up, they're going to be providing you value across the game modes as this game keeps on growing and getting better. Now, another big one is the Secret Defenders, guys. The reason I have the full Secret Defenders here is I do want to point out some characters that aren't worth building, right? So you can see here, Doctor Strange, just completely skip him, but this is a top 3 team in the game, guys. Secret Defenders is absolutely phenomenal. Most important characters easily being Robbie Reyes, Black Cat, and Miss Marvel Hardlight. I personally brought in Photon into my Dark Dimension run, hence why she's upgraded as well. But the 3 most important are the 3 to the right, and they're going to be giving you value in Dark Dimension, Arena, heck, even if you want to bring them in as raid characters, but they're great slot in, amazing in War, and they've been used for many of the past events that we've seen already too, especially like with Source Satellite, Escape from Kiln. So you're not going to be losing any value there. This is like the Infinity Watch kind of era in 2023, right? This team is going to be staying put for quite some time because of how their kit is, and we've already seen with Robbie in Dark Dimension 7 how valuable he's still going to remain. Definitely skip on Doctor Strange. You don't need to be wasting your resources on him though, as you can get by definitely without that character. Now we have the Sinister Superior 6 reworked team here. I just put in my 5 best guys, but obviously you can include, characters like Spider Slayer and as well as, the Mysterio and so forth. They have such a great mixture here, but this encapsulates, all the recent reworks to Sinister 6, Superior 6. They're hands down they're a top 3 team in the game as well, especially when synergizing both Doc Ock and Green Goblin Classic. Characters like Vulture, Kraven, Lizard, I definitely think they're the standouts, but again, Spider Slayers, Mysterio, even Rhino, they all have different value. I really like this team. Make sure you guys build up some kind of synergy with this 5-piece because they're one of the best villains teams in the game. And as we've seen with Legendary Trial events and as well as upcoming events like the Escape from Kiln and Source Satellite, you always do need some pretty good Spider-Verse or villain characters, and this just fits the mold absolutely every single time. Next, we're going to be talking about one of the top war teams in the game here and actually being required for the Old Man Logan Legendary event. So this is out of time. Many folks likely will already have Rebirth, aka both Captain America and Carter built up from previous trials, especially when we were involved with Green Goblin Classic. And as well, Black Knight being one of the best characters in the game, right? So this 3-piece already makes them more than half the team. I'm slowly building up Cosmic Ghost Rider and Starbrand, but that's actually the reason why I haven't focused on Spire Society, because I am building up for the next legendary event here, being the Out of Time team. And then finally, that leaves me here with this final last team, number 10, guys, being Cabal. We have Cabal getting confirmed as the next Pocket Dimensions. It's actually coming in 2 weeks. And then shortly afterwards, Old Man Logan's event is also going to require Cabal, plus actually members of Emma Frost and Loki, who's also part of Bifrost. So I'm just working on what's immediately required right now. So if you guys are in the end game and following my videos, you know that I'm already building up and investing in Cabal and Out of Time, including Starbrand and Cosmic Ghost Rider, just because these events are coming up sooner. If we hear about news on the next raid coming, obviously I can pivot and work on Spire Society, but I don't even have Penny Parker unlocked yet. Her event's ongoing right now, and we're just focusing on the horizon of what to bring up right now with the events coming up. So there you guys have it. These are, in my honest opinion, the 10 most important teams right now in the game. That's going to get you 90% of the end game content, especially if you guys are mid-game watching this. If you're a newer player watching this, use this as a reference to see which teams are going out soon, right? Personally, I think Bifrost is the next team out, but you still need to build them up if you guys are already starting off in Incursion 1 or Incursion 2. Pegasus is very well the next team that's heading out, but the good news is Extreme, Hivemind, Spire Society, Tango Web, Secret Defenders, Sinister Superior 6, Out of Time, and Cabal, they're all staying put for quite some time just because of what's happening in the coming weeks here with their events. Hopefully this is helpful. Let me know what you guys think in comments below if I missed anything. And again, I tried to exclude all Horsemen and Apocalypse because these are honestly right now the best all-rounded teams that's not classified as Horsemen related or the Apocalypse saga. So there you guys have it. Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.